I'll be the first to say that I love lifestyle creep. Love it. Can't get enough of it. Are you joking? You're telling me that people work their ass off, get promoted, make more money, maybe even start a business, and then the further they get along in their lives and in their careers, they can't spend a little bit of money to look better, to present themselves better to the world, to feel better about where they're living, to feel safer about where they're living in some cases. I'm not saying to spend money that you don't have or that you cannot pay back, or put yourself in a position where on a rainy day, you don't have anything put away. Saving is a good thing. But I'm telling you right now, I have lifestyle creep. I creeped my lifestyle from moving to New York City, living in an attic, eating $2 slices of pizza just to get by, to where I am now, right? Moderately successful, still obviously on my way, but make no mistake, I'm holding a $7 coffee right now and just finished a $5 croissant. My lifestyle has creeped, but I think that's okay.
Hello everyone, it's Emmanuel Cooke. Today we will be reacting to a new video, and I hope that you guys enjoy the video.
So the other day I was scrolling and I came across this video, and I don't know the creator's name, but she was talking about lifestyle creep, and how, the more money you make, the more money you spend. And it got me to thinking about something really interesting. Lifestyle inflation that happens, but not the lifestyle inflation that we're thinking of, right? Not you got a new job, so you went out and bought a fancy car, or now, you make more money, so you only shop at Whole Foods. Like, I'm not talking about that kind of lifestyle creep, which is also a real thing. I'm talking about the lifestyle creep that happens when you don't have enough money, like you're living paycheck to paycheck, and so you don't have enough money to take care of yourself, and now you do. So you're spending money on things you weren't spending before. And these are things that you need, not luxury things. I'm talking about going to the dentist, getting oil changes on your car, new tires, taking your dog to the vet, like things like that that are not necessarily luxuries. They are things that we need, but when you don't have enough money to make it from paycheck to paycheck, you're probably not doing those things. And for me, when I started making more money, those were the first things that I started to do. I started to go to the dentist regularly, right? My dog got to go to the vet more regularly. I got my oil changed on its time rather than letting my car go like a year without an oil change, right? I bought new tires for those balding tires that were on my car. And you feel broke. You feel broke. You make more money and you feel broke still. You're like, what the heck is going on? And it's because you're taking care of yourself. You're doing the things that you want to be doing, that you should be doing, that as adults we're supposed to do. But when you don't have enough money to make ends meet, you're probably not doing those. And now that you do, you're doing the big girl things that you should be doing, and you're like, why do I feel broke? If that is you, I want you to give yourself some grace, because you're taking care of yourself now. Don't beat yourself up over it. Now, if you have lifestyle creep that is happening because you now make money and you're only going to shop at Whole Foods or whatever, you might need to step back and evaluate your budget. But if you're spending the money on things that are required to take care of yourself that you weren't doing before, give yourself some grace.
Bad money habits that were keeping me broke. I'm Christina. I'm a former shopaholic, and I used to be in $120,000 of student loan debt. I managed to pay that off in a total of 6 years by changing some of these bad money habits. I was one of those classic high earners who was broke. Here's why. Number one is lifestyle creep. When I first started working in my career, I was making more money than I'd ever seen in my whole life, which meant I wanted to treat myself. So I stopped living like a student, moved out on my own in a big city. I started to upgrade the stores that I was shopping at, so suddenly became an Aritzia girly, which is a very expensive habit to keep up with. And I tried to keep up. I charged vacations on my credit card, did all the shit for the photo, because that's what I thought you were supposed to do. So instead of doing things like living as cheaply as I possibly could to pay off my student loan, or even starting to learn to save and invest, I spent every dollar of that disposable income on my lifestyle, which left me with a lot of nice looking things, but no actual money of my own to show for it.
I can afford this place on paper, but I can't afford this place in my soul.
I literally want to start by saying, congratulations, friend. You have come to a conclusion that it takes a lot of people thousands of dollars in debt to realize. And I want to offer just some words of wisdom and some things that you can think about when it comes to budgeting in this next space of your life. So if you haven't looked at this woman's video, she's basically describing lifestyle creep. And I've talked about lifestyle creep a couple videos ago. Maybe I'll find it so I can link it. But basically what lifestyle creep is whenever you get a substantial pay raise or anything, you also increase your lifestyle expenses. That looks like upgrading your apartment, getting a new car, going on more expensive trips, all those kind of things every time you get a pay increase. So the first reminder is whenever you get an increase in your salary, you should not be increasing your major life expenses no more than every 3 to 5 years. Unless you're in like dire need, say like the apartment that you're in is just completely unsafe, or like you really do need to move to another part of town or something like that. Doing a major increase every 3 to 5 years is the best way to go. The other thing that I want you to think about is not just how much you can afford on paper, because like she said, like on paper she can afford it, but like in her soul, in her spirit, like on her lifestyle, she could not really afford this. Think really critically about what you love about your life and what you love to spend money on. And if it is not an apartment or if it's not a house, that shouldn't be where your main spending is. But even further, your goal is to always keep or increase your disposable income. So the simple equation for your disposable income is your total income minus your required necessary expenses, and that's your discretionary income. So the more you increase your living expenses, the less disposable income you have. And your disposable income is the additional money that you can have to save, invest, and just overall live your best life. So my last piece of advice, since you are in this situation now and you probably can't break a lease or it's going to be expensive to, think about additional ways to increase that disposable income and get more dollars in the door. But anyway, go make that money, friend.
Lifestyle creep is the reason that a lot of people are still living paycheck to paycheck, even as they become high earners. So here's my list of things that I will never buy, no matter how much money I have. I don't care what cars they come out with, what happens to my car. I will cut a hole out of the bottom and run it around like the Flintstones if I have to. I am not buying a new car. Expensive groceries. Aldi and Kroger have exactly what I need, and they always will. And then meal subscriptions. I used to do HelloFresh, which was nice, but it was just way too expensive for one person. Expensive gym memberships. I'm gonna get the same workout at my $19 a month gym as I would at a $100 plus gym. So nail appointments. I used to hate getting my nails done, so I finally just learned how to do them myself, and it saves so much money. Unintentional spending. I've put a rule in place where I need to wait 24 hours before I buy anything, and this has stopped me from spending so much money on things that I didn't actually want. And the last is non-stable clothing items, because if I'm going to wear something a lot, I'd rather pay for higher quality, but if it's not something I'm going to wear every day, it doesn't need to be that nice. And if you know that your salary is going to go up this year, I highly recommend making a list like this, because lifestyle creep is very sneaky and you might not even notice it happening.
One of my biggest financial mistakes is being a victim to lifestyle creep. I am a victim, and this is such a painful learning experience. Graduated in 2022 and I made sure to celebrate. 3 months after graduating, I leased my car. Not the best decision. This was my first taste at adulthood, at freedom, so I was really living my best life. I was at every concert, every nice restaurant, I was getting every beauty service you could think of, and I took 5 trips in 1 year. It was the most I had ever traveled in 1 year, and while this year was so much fun for me, I did not realize the damage I was doing. It took me a couple of months to realize that I was living completely beyond my means. Which sucks and is hard to admit in a society where everybody pretends that they have all the money in the world and is bad and bougie. At the end of the year, this is what my savings account looked like, and I literally could not sleep at night. I mean, I studied finance, I worked in banking. Theoretically, I should have known better. But all of a sudden, I had this car to pay for, and each week I would say, I'm gonna start saving next paycheck, and it just never happened. Since then, I have become a strict budgeter, and I have totally redeemed myself. It makes me so sad to think about where I could be financially if I didn't let those 8 to 9 months get away from me. I absolutely still have fun and travel, but now I know to leverage my credit card points and sinking funds when I'm doing these things. I'm posting this because I recently made a video about my savings accomplishments. Who am I to speak to transparency if I can't be honest with you guys about my ups and downs in my own financial journey?
This year, I'm trying to cut my expenses. Every single year since I've been working, compensation has been going up and my expenses have been going up. Rent, bought a new car a few years ago, and that's lifestyle creep. And I can't continue to do that. And this is the first time I'm super conscious of it. You know, like I do invest, I own real estate, but sometimes if I get a promotion or I get a new job, I don't necessarily feel the compensation, that I would anticipate, because my expenses just continue to go up. So I'm trying to minimize my expenses. I'm currently moving next month into a cheaper place. And I feel like that's a great start for me, to start to minimize expenses and cut things out that I don't need, like unnecessary stops at the mall and picking up items that I really don't need.
These are the 3 ways that I've avoided lifestyle creep as a tech worker who now in my career makes well over 6 figures. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think that lifestyle creep is inherently a bad thing. Adjusting your lifestyle as you earn more is the natural thing to do. We should all enjoy the fruits of our success. It starts to get problematic if you're not meeting your financial goals, so here are 3 ways to remedy that. The first thing is to save/invest a portion of any raises or promotions that you get. I've done this every year of my career by increasing my 401k contributions through my employer. You can also do this with your 401k or any investment vehicle that you use, but you can also just increase your savings rate too to a high yield savings account. Okay, well now what do you do with the other portion of the money? That brings us to number 2, which is to budget yourself some splurge money. If you're somebody who budgets monthly or budgets per paycheck, make sure that your budget includes a line item that's like an allowance or a personal fund that you can use for yourself each month. If you guys have seen any of my budgeting videos, you'll know that I have a line item under my variable expenses that's called allowance, and that's the amount that my phone overheated, so we're in my living room now. But I was saying that in my budget I have an allowance that I give myself each month to work with, and that's how I prioritize myself, and I never feel like I'm going without each month. So yeah, the remaining amounts of any promotions or raises that you get that you didn't put into savings or investing, you can add to your allowance. This way you're not depriving yourself of some fun money. The third thing is to not be short-sighted and to remember that while you can afford something now, if your situation changes, you don't want to be stuck with paying an amount on something that you cannot maintain. This is especially true for things like car payments and mortgages. I definitely don't want to be house poor in the future because I'm trying to juggle a massive mortgage as well as daycare payments and then regular monthly spending and travel. I really hope that these tips help you out, and just remember that there isn't anything inherently wrong with lifestyle creep as long as you're prioritizing healthy savings and investing habits before consumption.
Last year, I spent thousands of dollars on one luxurious service. You'll never believe what this service is. Like, we're talking peak luxury. Uber. The equivalent to what someone in the Midwest would spend on rent for the year on Uber. I've spoken about lifestyle creep before, but that does not mean I'm immune to it. Lifestyle creep is when you start making more money, so you start spending more money. Your lifestyle starts creeping up and up, right? Now, I made this choice and it was a cognizant choice, of course, because believe it or not, it costs less. It's cheaper to Uber from Jersey multiple times a week to New York than to pay rent in New York. Duh. And I don't pay rent in Jersey, so I'm like, let's just do that instead. So that was the first reason. Reason number 2, I have arthritis. So doing like the drive to Penn Station, get on train number 1, get on train number 2, then taxi to my office before work even begins, all of that like expends a lot of energy that causes me pain. So I decided to do that. But honestly, this year I might just bite the bullet and drive. I have a car, yeah. I'm not funding Uber anymore. I'm just not, But listen up. In 2023, I'm already doing better. I landed in New York today, and I called my uncle to come and pick me up instead of spending $150 on an Uber back to Jersey. We're doing better, y'all. All that money that I'll be saving from Uber this year, either high yield savings account or index funds.
A big part of saving is contentment. I have seen people go from paycheck to paycheck when they were earning 30K to 50K to 100K. Okay, the issue is not money. The issue is not that you're not making enough. The issue is that your eye is big. Your eye is too big. Okay, when you were earning 30K, you wanted the lifestyle of 50K, and so you started spending like you had 50K. When you were earning 50K, you wanted the lifestyle of 100K, so you were already ahead. When you got to 100K, then you're spending as if you're earning 150K. Relax. Okay, I need people to know that the issue isn't that they're not paying you enough, or you're not working hard enough, or things are tough, or the economy is tough. A lot of people are earning well, but they're not able to manage their spending because they're trying to match people who are 10, 15 years ahead of them and trying to achieve the same things, drive the same cars, live the same lifestyle as people who are twice your age. Like, you just need to be humble. Okay, we just all need myself included, we all could do with a little bit more humility, just more acknowledging of where we are and knowing that that is not the final destination. But to be able to sustain wealth, it's not about how much you earn alone. You can earn so well, but you will be rubbish at spending and still feel broke all the time if you are not on top of your spending, if you are not spending within your means. Okay, we need to be spending within our means. Thank you.
This is basically what I did, but I'm going to show y'all what my cheat code was. My expenses, my overhead, my bills that I have today is exactly the same as when I was making $1,200 a month. Give or take a little bit for inflation. So I was surviving off of $1,200. Now I'm living and thriving, and my overhead is only $1,400 a month. Before y'all be like, oh my God, how your overhead only $1,400? Obviously, I'm not the head of household. I was surviving off of $1,200. My man was taking care of everything in our household. My own debt that I came into the relationship with that I did not expect him to be paying, even though he was paying our household bills. So my credit card, my car, my student loans was never his responsibility. So as we continue to upgrade our lifestyle, we still continue to only live off of one income. In that time, I think I probably quadruple my income. Now, those expenses have changed over time. But as of today, right now, my overhead, my bills is only $1,400 a month. There's a lot of skills that you learn from surviving. So something simple as shopping in a circular, using coupons, buying a meat plan, buying meat in bulk and repackaging it up to make it smaller meals, taking advantage of community resources, cooking my own meal, doing my own laundry, cleaning my own house, doing my own grocery shopping, not using Uber Eats. Those are all things that I continue to do even though my income is higher, way higher now. I've really evaluated the things that I'm willing to do and the things that I'm not willing to do and what I really want to pay for. I don't think that I just wanted to throw my money into having all of these luxuries monthly and then my overhead is so high I still feel stressed out because I need to find the money to pay for these things. It doesn't feel like you're at peace if you still hustling up to get the money because you want to have somebody else do your laundry or whatever. This is just my opinion. So while I do all of those things myself because I'm not willing to pay the convenience fees, there are things that I use my money for. I have about a $300 a month budget for Uber. I am about to get a stylist really soon. I was able to move my son's extracurricular activities from 1 extracurricular activity to 4. I got a side tooth, and we continue to travel at least 4 to 5 times a year. I save towards a stash fund. I contribute to my retirement. I contribute to my Roth IRA for retirement. Oh, and most important, I'm 100% debt free. I don't owe anybody not 1 red cent. So overall, the cheat code is to really evaluate what you really care about, keep your overhead low, and use the excess money to pay off your debts, take care of your family, and do the things that you really want in life.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this humbly in hopes that I inspire someone on this Tuesday morning. My biggest flex in life right now is that, baby, I work a corporate job, but I live in a $900 apartment.
So I know y'all couldn't see the bottom of the video, but in the bottom of the video, she was basically saying the real flex is living below your means. And I completely 100% agree with her. I worked as a manager for a lending company for people who didn't really have the best credit. And you would be surprised at how many Americans are living above their means. Even the ones who make a good, decent amount of money, you know, they'll be in so much debt due to just overspending, having these high car payments. You would see the craziest things coming from people. What happens to most people is lifestyle creep. And when most people get a significant raise, they go into a lifestyle creep. The current apartment that I live in, I've gotten 2 raises since then and have doubled my income each time I've changed jobs. And I have not increased my lifestyle at all based on the things that I saw when I worked, giving people loans and just all the stuff that I saw there. I never wanted to be one of those people who had an opportunity to make money and save money and then just start spending it unnecessarily. I have been wanting a new car since COVID. I can buy a new car right now, but I haven't because the money that I'm saving, I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense right now. My car is fine. It's running well. It might not be the best looking car, but it's like, why am I going to spend that money on the car right now? Me personally, I'm trying to set myself up for the future. So I'm investing. I'm trying to max out my 401k, max out my IRA. Also, just save, have money in my savings account just in case something happens. My goal was, hey, I want to be able to live off my own money for a whole year, rent included, everything. If I was to ever get laid off or anything, I want to be able to continue to support myself for a year so I don't have to go into debt if I lost my job. Now, I want to say the real question for her is, where are you paying $900 in rent? Because in San Diego, I don't know if you'll ever find $900 in rent. But yeah, the moral of the story is, stop trying to be like everybody else. You don't know their situation, because trust me, you will see people come in my office all the time with these luxury vehicles, these nice things, and they would be broke. They don't even have a positive net worth. So the best thing that you can do is just live within your means and just try to save from there and build yourself up. But don't go out here and just start spending all your money trying to keep up with everybody else.
I actually cannot even believe that I'm about to say this right now and this is going to come out of my mouth, but after almost a year in Miami, we are moving. Okay, so just to give a little bit of background info, my boyfriend and I moved down to Miami from the New York City area last summer, and we absolutely love it here. We are in the Midtown area. We love how close it is to the airport, to the design district, to Wynwood. It's close to the highway. You can be at the beach in like 10-15 minutes. It's just very centrally located. And when we were looking at different areas of Miami to move to, this just really stood out to us. We loved how it was like a little bit more chill than like Brickell and downtown, but there was still things to do, and it seemed like a good place for like young couples and young families to live. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely still feel that way. I love the building that we live in. I love the people in my building. Our staff is incredible. It's extremely safe. We have a Trader Joe's on our ground floor. I've made amazing friends in my building, but there are a few things that I feel like are just not worth the cost of us staying in this building. So it is that time of year for us, and I'm sure a lot of other people. We got our lease renewal paperwork, and our lease renewal was not a huge rent increase, and we're really happy about that. It was only like $105. However, as soon as we saw that, we're like, great, oh awesome. We hadn't really talked about like staying or leaving, but the more we talked about it and the more that we talked to other people, it kind of made us reconsider. So Midtown is definitely not as hectic as downtown and Brickell are, which is a part of the reason why I chose this area. However, I do think it's going to eventually get that way with all the new construction happening here. And the thing is, before I decided to move into this building when I was still touring it, the leasing manager that was giving me the tour, he was like, oh, there is a new condo building that is going to be built directly across the street. So if you choose the corner units facing the construction, we give like some type of a concession on rent because they're gonna break ground sometime in the fall or winter. So I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good deal. But then I toured the center unit and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna face the construction here. And he's like, yeah, that won't be an issue. So I chose the center unit. And here's the thing, not only do I hear and see the construction literally all day, the crane for that new condo building that they recently broke ground for is right outside of my window, and my dog stares at it and barks at it all day. It's super annoying, and that crane swirls around and drops cinder blocks onto that building that they're building, and it sounds like pew pew every few seconds, and we hear drilling and construction all day. And not only that, we live right behind where the train tracks are, and we hear the bright line every like 20-30 minutes or so. And we're close to the airport, so we hear planes landing, and it's really noisy over here. Another thing is, we have 2 balconies in our apartment, one that is just the private balcony on our bedroom, and then a main balcony that stretches from the living area to the other bedroom. The balcony in our bedroom is completely unusable because it is covered in soot, dust, dirt, and whatever construction materials they're using because the crane sits right there. So we have all this debris sitting on our balcony, and it makes it completely unusable. And we've contacted the leasing office about it, and other residents are dealing with the same issue, and they have never sent anybody to clean it. So that balcony is just unusable. It's impossible to clean on our own, and I don't know if it is worth spending the money for a professional balcony cleaner to come and do that for us, because usually they like spray stuff and have to connect a hose, and it's a whole ordeal. So a few weeks ago we got our lease renewal forms in the mail and we saw that it was only a $105 rental increase. We were like, okay, that's not that bad, especially because where we lived up north, they were increasing our rent like hundreds of dollars every year. So $100 was like not crazy. And we hadn't had any like in-depth conversations about like staying or leaving. But once we had more in-depth conversations, we realized not only was it not worth spending a penny more than what we were spending now, what we're spending now was entirely too much, especially if we want to meet certain financial goals in the future and also invest in property in like the next year or two. Just to be fully transparent, I don't pay the rent, my boyfriend does. I pay for the Wi-Fi and I do a lot of like the cooking and cleaning. I enjoy doing that, and that's also what we found works best in our relationship. If something else works better for you, that is great, but that's just what we found works best for us. Also, I always joke around and say I'm a stay-at-home girlfriend, but I'm not. I actually do have my own business and I do some freelance work and clinical research work on the side. My boyfriend has a full-time, like serious big boy 9-to-5 job, and he works from home most of the time if he is not traveling. Also, we make every decision together, especially when it comes to financial decisions regarding living together. And like I said, in the spirit of full transparency, what we would be spending on rent all in, including the necessary things that our building makes us pay for that are extra, like, you know, parking, pet fees, water, trash, and our utilities like electricity, Wi-Fi, what we would be spending all in would be $5,400. And yes, we could afford it on paper multiple times, but like I said, if we want our lives to look a certain way in a year from now, 2 years from now, that is entirely too much money to be spending in rent. I also just want to say that that $5,400 a month in rent and mandatory apartment related expenses does not include our groceries, going out to eat, self-employment taxes, our phone bill, car insurance, traveling, little things that we might want to do for fun, other, you know, home decor, furniture, shopping for clothes, little things that might pop up. You get where I'm going with this, right? All of that plus $5,400 a month is not feasible long term, especially if we want our lives to look a certain way and if we want to feel a certain level of comfort a year or 2 years from now. Lifestyle creep is absolutely real, and I'm not ashamed to talk about it. I think it's a very important conversation to have, especially for young people that might be earning a lot but also spending way too much. Our lease is up in early June, so I'd love to hear some suggestions on where we should start looking. As much as I love this area, we are trying to get outside of this area, so any suggestions outside of Midtown, Edgewater, Brickell, downtown, Wynwood are much appreciated. Something good for a young couple, honestly. I absolutely love the beach and the water, and that's part of the reason I moved here, so I wouldn't mind being closer to or even on the beach. I also wouldn't mind being a little bit further north of us, like Aventura, Sunny Isles, Broward, if we want to get real crazy. Also, I wouldn't mind even going a little bit further south towards like the Gables, Coconut Grove. But I hope that this resonated with somebody, and thank you for watching.
I make significantly more money than I was making 3 years ago, and now that I make more money, I also spend a lot more money. And maybe this is a hot take, but I personally don't believe that all lifestyle creep is a negative thing, and that if you work to increase your income at all throughout your career, then you should feel guilty for increasing your expenses and spending more money on yourself. Before anyone comes at me for saying this, I definitely do think that as you increase your income, your savings rate should also increase. So if you doubled your income and you're not saving any more money than you did before you doubled your income, maybe you do have a problem there. But I feel like people almost use the term lifestyle creep to shame people for not wanting to live like they were living when they were making a much smaller income. For example, before I increased my income, I was living with roommates, so my rent was really cheap. I spend well over double now what I did on my rent back then. But guess what? I don't want to live with roommates. You could say I inflated my lifestyle by increasing my rent, but I look at it as I increase my income so that I can improve my quality of life. I definitely think it's important to look at your savings rate as you're increasing your income and say, well, if my income is increasing, I should also increase my savings rate, but you shouldn't feel guilty for also wanting to use your money to improve your life today.
Here's something that not enough people tell you about money.
It's not really about how much you make, but it's really about how much you keep, save, and invest. You see, you could be making $100,000 each year, but then be $200,000 in credit card debt. I definitely want you to focus on increasing your income, but as you increase your income, it's really important that you avoid lifestyle inflation. Make sure that you understand the basics of personal finance. You have a good money management system. You know how to budget, you know how to save, you know how to invest. And the basics of personal finance are spend less than you make and you'll be okay.
The easiest way to go broke is not by buying a nice car or a nice house or watches or jewelry. It's with lifestyle creep. Let me explain what that means. Lifestyle creep is exactly why 75% of pro athletes go broke 5 years after they retire from pro sports. Let me explain why that happens. I've seen lifestyle creep happen firsthand. All it means is that you upgrade every aspect of your life and you just outspend what you're earning. So even though you're making more, you're spending more and you're just not taking anything home. What does that mean? Instead of going to Chipotle for dinner, you're going to a steakhouse every night. Instead of going to a regular bar, you're going to a section at the club and spending $2,000. Instead of a regular apartment, you upgrade to the penthouse. Instead of a Honda Civic, you upgrade to a Porsche. And before long, your income goes from like 60K to 150K, but you're only taking home the same amount because your expenses increase with your income. How do you avoid this? Pick one area that really makes you happy and ball out on that, whether it's a nice car or nice shoes or nice watches or going out or nice dinners. Find that one thing you really love and spend a ton on that and save everywhere else. It's the easiest way to save money and avoid this lifestyle creep and going broke. So
that is it for today. I appreciate you guys watching the video, and like, comment, and subscribe down below, and see you in the next video.